Hello. Today, under the motion, this house will remove all superpowers of humans. Without further ado, Prime Minister, you have the floor. You're here.
I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1.
Oh my.
A city terrorized by small-scale crimes that the police can't fight. Yet these humongously powerful superheroes going off to do the government's bidding. Is that really a world we want, Prime Minister, Chair? So, in today's motion, we would like to show, first of all, the world would be that the very small percentage of those 80% of people with superpowers have extraordinary superpowers, like the info slide states, and those small percentage of people, an even smaller percentage of those people are found by the government, because in our world, they can only be directly found, and in our world, they're the only ones that can actually be trained. So, also in our world, lesser crimes such as petty theft, robberies are dealt with by the police, as these extraordinarily rare individuals of powers are mostly used in the government for much more important tasks. So, for the policy of today's motion, the proposition is assuming that the government has a device to immediately erase all superpowers from every individual without having to meet them face to face. So, before I move on to some arguments, I'll go on to some stakeholder analysis. So, right stakeholders for today's analysis are the vulnerable 20% of the population who don't have powers. The other stakeholders would be the 80% of the population who possesses superpowers, and the government who really, really, really wants these extraordinarily rare superpowers.
Points of information.
N-O, no. The government's incentive is to get these really rare superpowers heroes to hopefully train them towards the good side for them to be used in missions that the government finds to be good on their side. So some preemptions before I move on to my first argument is that the
Points of information. Please engage.
I will engage with you later, sorry. So, some preemptions. The opposition might state that these extraordinarily powerful people might fight crime. It would make the city more safe. However, this is not true. Like I already stated, because the only police would be able to do this, while they may state that police, in lesser crimes, there are police with superpowers, right? But still, we're going to be able to prove in our second argument why this still wouldn't work. So, before I move on to my first argument, are there any POIs?
Points of information.
I literally said that, but okay, sure.
Don't you think to frame how that there will be automatic magical devices to erase all the superpower all at once without facing them is impossible and is unjustifiable, because that it will be impossible to erase, it's impossible to save the superpowers of superheroes.
Opposition, listen to this. Does it sound any more likely that we would suddenly wake up with all superpowers? I think it's just as justifiable as a world full of superheroes as there is a device that can magically disappear all superhero powers. And also, may I remind you, opposition, in a THBT motion, the government does have the fiat. So, after this, I'll move on to my first argument. Our first argument is that this can decrease racism. So, racism is already bad, Judge. People without superheroes are going to get more and more oppressed. Okay, why would this happen? Because you're different. So, in normal racism, people usually bully you, oppress you, because sure, your skin tone may be different, your eyes might be smaller. But in this case, you're literally physically different. These people are literally stronger than you. It actually gives them something to tell you why they're better than you. So, this is an actual difference. This would make the racism even worse, as people now have, because let's think about this in a sensical way, Judge. If you're way powerful than somebody else, would you most likely be sympathizing like, oh, hello? Or would you be like, yo, I'm way better than you because I have certain abilities? Of course you're going to be saying, I'm better than you. Why? Because
Points of information.
I already engaged with you. I don't want to do it anymore. So
understood how to like reject
Out of order.
Humans naturally want to be better than others, and for these reasons, I think that it's perfectly justifiable that people with superpowers will oppress those without superpowers. This will make intersection even worse, as those who are already previously oppressed might be a double oppressed intersection. It might just make it even worse. So, what we say is when we destroy all these superpowers, it allows people who are previously unoppressed to previously had superpowers to see what it's like from going to the highest of highs to going to the lowest of lows. The prop might say, yeah, this is emotionally devastating, blah blah blah. It's not, it's really bad for those people, but we state it's actually good because it allows them to empathize what it's like to go from such a high to go to a low. So in our best case, in our worst case, there's no difference in racism. However, racism doesn't get exponentially worse, but in our best case, there's a high difference as racism is decreased. I'll quickly move on to my second argument. It's that superheroes are unpredictable and dangerous. Even if the gov does its best to train and find all the best extraordinary superheroes, people are going to go unnoticed. That's something that is obvious because the government isn't perfect. They can't just look everywhere. Sure, they might try, but they're going to miss some people. And some people are bad, and people who are not even bad might go bad. Why is this? If you have power in your head, you grow an ego. This is quite obvious and intuitive. Why? Because people with power like to think that they're better than other people. And these people are extraordinarily better, like I just stated. So if these people go do petty crimes like robbery, even if the police come and they have superpowers, like I stated in the beginning of my speech, they can't beat these extraordinarily powerful superheroes, meaning that petty theft would just get much worse. This could lead to large-scale chaos. And sure, even if these large superheroes intervened, it would most likely be too late. For these reasons, I'm so proud to propose. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Speaking for 6 minutes and 39 seconds. 30 seconons.
Okay, Mickey.
Bro, I just
You're from Mickey. Let's go. Like he finally understood how to like be justifiable for rejecting POIs. Cause like he finally found out.
That's Ianji.
쓰라고 못 모임.
Wait, where's that erase?
나보다
내가 읽어줄까?
I just, no, it's like,
Stop. What's my
아르기멘트 어차피 할 말 많으니까 아르기멘트
Can you focus on that?
You can just like, you can, yeah, 얼굴
Cause you have me, bro.
Wait.
Thank you.
Okay.
10 seconds.
Skipping.
나보다.
yes.
I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Before saying our first two arguments, I would like to start by rebuttaling by their some arguments, they so-called argument they made. So first is note that this is not a policy, but side made a policy from. Okay, I don't understand. Yeah. I don't know why the racism is even related in this I don't really get why the racism that they stated on their team is really related on this motion. They never mentioned the
Here.
huh? I'm sorry.
That's your points for it.
I would like to start just saying our first argument, which is their productivity and efficiency goes up. So people with superpowers, like, they don't just go off and say that, oh, I'm gonna save the world and just like save people from like, I don't know, like some disaster, but also they can.
POI.
Yeah.
We didn't have a policy, it was a fiat, and how we would implement this change that was given to our motion.
Okay.
So how do you defend that?
Out of order.
I will not answer that because I just see no point of answering that. And so people with superpowers don't just like save millions of people in this like at the same time and just get applauded all the time. But they can do small things like 건설연장, for example. I will explain more on that later. And so what I'm trying to say is that not all superpowers are meaningful to everybody, but it will be meaningful to some people. So I would like to ask two questions. So what is superpower and what is using power wisely? So first, superpower is something is ability that you own that most people do not have. And so first, some superpowers can be insignificant to some people. For example, the power of putting something together won't really matter to someone who just works at office, right? But using power wisely doesn't always mean saving people but helping them, even if it might be a very simple things, like little things that happen on a daily basis or like concern down. So like, for example, let's say that road was broken in half for like whatever reason it was, right? Then instead of like hiring many people to stick it back together, you can just simply ask someone who owns the power of sticking things together. And even though this might not be very important to some people who is not very related to the road that was broken, the broken road itself harms a lot of people, and it will take a lot of time if there wasn't any people who with superpowers. So the efficiency and productivity of the work being done goes up. Our second argument is about standard. So I noticed that there was very vague standard of normal people. The standard of normal people itself is very vague. Clearly, government could not explain what does it really mean to turn normal people. So like, let's just say that there was a person with a 280 IQ with superpowers. But if they turn into a normal person, does that mean their IQ also goes down, even though that had nothing to do with superpowers? Mm-hmm. So for example, no thank you. For example, it's like a white and black people. So white people discriminated black people because they think that white people was like always right and black people clearly wasn't, they thought. And so for example, if like, let's just say that a lot of people were like white in our word, and if a black person had a superpower and if they turn into a normal body, what color scheme would so in conclusion, the standard of normal people is very vague, and it could also lower the efficiency because if they erase the superpower, because they're like not only about their superpower but everything else about them could go down. So government changing people with superpowers into so-called normal people itself can be called discrimination. So first one is financial, because people already have, like, even on both sides, people have criminals that is not related to superpowers. So just like researching on how to raise the superpower itself will cost a lot of money, and it will not be good because of the reasons.
Out of order.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, you can spoke for 5 minutes and
30
seconds.
seconds.
30 seconds.
야 이거 랩으로 이거 30초만 해야 돼.
내가 진짜. 내가 진짜야.
Yo, 빨리 내거 읽어.
Sorry.
He's ready.
Let's go, Diddy.
What? Bro, what? This kind of dangerous. You don't 많이 위험해.
Diddy go?
아, 쌤 진짜 망한 것 같아요. 저 저번에 잘했는데 이번에 너무 못했어요.
Don't worry.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Okay.
You got
30
this,
seconds.
Andrew.
Alright, Deputy Prime Minister, up on the floor.
Those are rebuttals.
It's like a Sony face in that one.
Oh. Bro, he ain't that old.
Yeah.
He ain't that old, bro. He's like.
It's like the eagle is like a
Okay.
striker in blue wall.
Okay. So.
No comment.
Okay, I'm not JD. Okay, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1.
Bro.
Hello everyone, I'm the Deputy Prime Minister of this debate. Starting with the rebuttal of the for the opposition. So opposition is keep talking about like increased work efficiency. About increased work efficiency. Yes. So, but our burden, which the Prime Minister stated, is about what creates a better world, fair.
Let's go.
More safe, safer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Safer world. Some we want some more efficient work, not worth chaos. So both sides have criminals, but ours are more dangerous with superpowers. So this motion states that government already has devices, but that does not cost. And also, I keep hearing talking about construction site, but I think superheroes, like superhumans, I think they have much more important things.
Points of information.
And that's rejected. So we think that superhumans they don't just work at construction sites, but they actually work for the world.
Points of information.
The society itself, and rejected. No, it's not. Okay. So I'll also talk more about the Prime Minister's first argument, which was about decreasing in racism.
Point of
So
information.
no. No. Yeah. No. Yes. Yes. Let's focus. Okay. So if racism decreases, like the Prime Minister had mentioned,
POI.
come on, rejected. So like the Prime Minister has stated, if really racism decreases, this is just not just good for the people itself, but the whole society, the whole community can nourish benefits.
Points of information.
Come on, no. Yes. So I swear. Okay. Yes. So for the society itself, they're having a benefit of people uniting, and people who are very all of the people are equal, and that means that people will
Typical point of information.
no. People will try to unite and try more give more chances to many for a variety of things. Yes, and I'll move on to our argument. Yes, and I'll take the people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, so you said that people have superhumans have a lot of more important things to do, but
Yes.
how can 80% of people do important things for the only for the 20% of the people?
Here.
So can you say it again? Sorry. Can you say it again?
No, the water.
No follow allowed.
No follows allowed.
So I'll just briefly explain about this. So they're like the motion says, like the info slide says, they are heroes, not people who are working in this construction site. They are meant to be working for the villain, working for justice, not villain, not just for construction sites who help. They're not people who help people move building. Breaks and rejected. They have much more things like protecting people from crimes. I don't know, like gun shooting, or I don't know, they're not close. Okay, and I'll move on to our argument, which is all evil. So I think our burden was that mostly Oh, come on, rejected. Mostly, I think it's mostly targeted on how we will solve the problems of superhuman who will use their power peacefully and gratefully for the world. So I'll talk about this through our arguments. So let's say that Ops world has been realized in the the simulated world. Yes, not simulated. No, superhuman's world. Sorry. So in the 80% of superhuman people, like people will try to use this for justice. However, like there's a big chance that some people are going to use this for villainy. But even in the 80%, all of the people grew from different environments, and they have received different education and heard different ideas through their lives. So all of the people have their own opinion and thoughts, and their stories are all different. Like somebody could have have got bullied, or somebody who would have got into trouble with his parents or her parents, or I don't know. So that means that all people have their own opinions. So if people have to, then if really some people try to make crimes with his or her benefit of superpower, people, superhumans, even justify people. I'll finish this.
Pass to propose. Pass to propose.
아 진짜 피곤해 좀 그만해 진짜.
Alright, thank you. Speaker spoke for 6 minutes and 47 seconds. Two reminders.
Hey, you're DLO. What the
First of all, I'll remind speakers that even though you do respect the 15-second rule, you guys know what you're doing, and you know it's very close to badgering. So I would rather have that limited. Number two, you can reject POIs by not even looking at them. Just don't answer to them. There's no need to answer to POIs at all.
Yeah. I would like to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. A few clarifications here before directly moving on. I believe that their team's main model about erasing me and magically erasing all the superpowers of humanity all in once becomes unjustifiable and impossible for C, because that it actually never considered of the stakeholder called government in this situation. Because if they actually simply erases all superpowers all in once, then there is no reason for governmental policies or governmental sources or governmental sources of the stakeholders doesn't need to be actually be regarded of it. Because why? It's like something magical and something governmental policies doesn't need to actually be taken for it, because that it'll be all in an instant, so there wouldn't be actually governmental policies which requires the civic or these democratic supports or the acknowledgements. So moving on. So I believe that moving on to their engagements, their teams. So I believe that our team's model mainly actually firstly fails and unjustifiable. But regardless of this, our team decides to be really charitable and engage upon how that their team's model also makes sense. So moving on to first argument, their team's firstly talking about racism. I believe that their team never understands what's something called racism, because racism has only happened when a certain group of racists or major group of something has happened. So the white people discriminated black people because there was a major group and dominant group of white people existing here. But in terms of a superpower, what actually comes here is that there's no certain group like every superpower. I like to take you after this are different, and they actually it's inevitable to take a certain group to fight with and to be dominant with and to actually to discriminate something on other people with. Yeah, and even if we actually becomes really charitable, and we consider this as there will be a social discrimination regardless, not only about racism. I believe our team wills this because why? Because that there wouldn't be actually a good standard for thinking that those superpowers are actually good, right? There's no actually 100% for sure that these superpowers would be meaningful. There might be any types of extraordinary aspects brought by people, and they won't even think that this isn't even good. Let's say that this superpower might be a really rubbish thing. That when you actually eat a ice cream or something, that you get to actually sneeze or you get to actually fart or something like that. These would be meaningless, and all these extraordinary aspects brought up by people, which might be not even good, and which might be not even like meaningful, and which might be like having singular particles together. I believe that this should be only treated by differences, and this is a genuine part about why these social discriminations shouldn't be happening. So,
POI.
yeah, I'll take you. Yeah, I'll take you.
So people these days are literally being racist over the smallest things like skin color. Do you think
I'd like to
people-
cut you off there. So, something called racism is become meaningful when there's a people participating on it, when it becomes people. So when actually let's say you're a single participant on your influencer, it only takes like you're the only one that discriminates one another. Would people follow you? No, that wouldn't be even meaningful. But since that there's no particle subject that people might be interested on with together to be dominant together, I believe that these social movements or social discrimination might not happen. So because that these superpowers doesn't have something particular, and it's just something like so rare or like not rare but like so different tied together. Second, I believe that their team said that there might be superpowers which actually makes a rebellion or might be harmful to society. But I believe that this actually they never understand the aspects of education system that brings them to the community from the get-go when they're young and when they're actually pure and innocent. We taught them what is justice and how they should be heroes from the get-go. Second, I believe that what this info slide shows that we also had a machine to erase those superpowers, and we're not just simply not using it. It means that the existence of these technologies exists on both sides, and I'd like to cut you off because I already engaged. So I believe that since because we fairly have a technology to erase these superpowers, when actually they make a rebellion and they actually become like unjustified, like these psychopaths, we already have enough system to control them and to take out their capacity. Third, so their team is talking about how that there might be what should I say, terrorists which uses their superpowers badly. I believe that their teams never understand how that there's these meaningful superpowers which can actually create a social harm or they're actually strong enough to terrorism or something like influencer single superpowers would be all gone because it'll be all educated as a superpower, and only meaningful superpowers such as like farting when you eat ice cream would only left, and these won't be, it's likely to be never used for terrorism. Moving on to our team's review, our team's first argument was mainly about efficiency and productivity for these area or things like economical production. Their team said they wouldn't be used because these, and it is unlikely for the superpowers to actually be used upon these. Though I believe what superpowers are, they're only limited to an area that they can be strong and be faithful to the society. That I believe that our team's area, what we're using is the superpowers which are irrelevant with the justice or be relevant with strong things. They're just simply relevant with these areas or economic areas, like superpowers which makes the food tastier, things like that. So these are they shouldn't be superheroes, but they can work for it. Second, their team is saying that they're engaged our team's argument by saying how these superheroes shouldn't be working on here because that they're too vulnerable. Their team partially agrees on our team model about how these superheroes are actually strong. Second, our team talked about how vague standard of normal body. So I believe that their team generally misunderstood our team's argument because our team's this policy self to erase them and to change them back to a certain typical body, this common body. I believe that it needs to have a certain standard to justify what common body is. And if we create a standard of what ideological body that the government wants to change to people, I believe that this itself becomes a social norm, which actually think of what a good body is and what standard of the good body is, and people which are partially not irrelevant these violate these good body might be discriminated. Third argument, our teams majorly talked about criminals and superpowers because that there are superheroes that are strong enough. Because I believe that even though in our situation, I believe that in our situation with our model that it might be terrorists or criminals which violate the law and never erases their superpowers. I believe there might be existence of the superheroes which can block them already, even though it follows our model, or most likely model. B, I believe that these existence of extraordinary superheroes and they're dominant with independent with those costs, and we have them together. I believe that we can create more benefits at the end of the day. It's safe. So for these reasons, never been so proud to oppose.
Okay, thank you. Take us for 6 minutes 33 seconds.
What?
너 이거
Bro, I have like no clashes.
이거 봐봐.
Damn.
들어봐. From a young age, it work. But 진짜 세계에서 일찍부터 가르쳐도 안 그러잖아. People are still racist. 그래서 what? They never get recognition.
나 가시가 없는데.
그냥 일단 rebuttal을 잘하면 돼.
아니 가시가 없다니까.
아니 어차피 rebuttal이나 잘해. 내가 말한 거 기억나?
Yeah.
나 말한 거
가시가 없는데 괜찮아요.
그냥 해 일단. Bro,
What?
일단 그런 거부터 해야겠지. 야, 애들.
어?
저희가 이거. 그쵸, yeah.
Oh.
Did you hear what I said?
There is no way I'm getting.
방금 내가 뭐라 했어? 아니, 내가 방금 뭐라 했는지 알지?
Sorry.
내가 방금 뭐라 했는지 기억나지?
Not really. Oh wait. 어디
어차피 하는데.
It really exists.
Yeah.
Okay.
Recognition.
So you just 좀만 더 펼쳐야 돼요.
No. Yeah.
No,
Oh my god, bro.
I'll start it for you.
No, no, thank you. Actually, this is not good. No, like,
The way you just said,
진짜.
this is not good.
진짜.
But it's gonna be better.
지금
than
60점도 괜찮죠?
근데 내 거보단 잘할 거야.
YTN's 꼴찌는 아니죠? 60점? Like.
Oh yeah, you're going to YTN.
Yeah, I'm getting like.
나 리코딩해서 너한테 보는 거야? 너
No.
때문에.
아이씨.
아니 말을 좀
Hey,
해줘.
don't use your electronics.
Oh, why are you watching YouTube Shorts? Are you
Don't use
serious?
your electronics.
Am I allowed to use it for a timer?
No.
No.
Can I get a timer?
You can use your phone for a timer, but don't touch anything else from your phone.
엄마랑 독하는 건 안 되나요?
안 돼. Unfortunately, unless it's an emergency.
Emergency.
아 그러면 쌤한테 문자에서 아닌 지금
Hmm?
지금 했을 때 나.
쌤 자동 셔도 돼요?
Yeah.
아 형은 좀 할까?
잘해라.
You can start.
Oh, what?
I'm gonna read your feelings.
Whip. Can you start?
Starting my speech
Here it is.
in 3, 2, 1. I don't really have a hook today, so I'm just gonna say like, hello everybody. I'm the government whip in this debate, and I will first start my speech with noting 3 things from the opposite side. So I just wanna. We're debating under the motion this has believed that governments should erase superpowers of all humans, and just want to note out that first, the LO has done literally 0 engagement in our arguments, which was first racism, second ethics, and third that
Points of
also-
information.
Out of order.
Oh.
Good, yeah. It's 40. Okay, so our first argument was about racism, second ethics, and third that superheroes are eventually are all gonna be evil because of how the majority is the superpower in this world, and people like being the superior, like for example like black people and white people, and and people are racist
This is serious. Bro.
over small things, okay? Like
Points of information.
actually yeah.
Even if they're racist, I believe that their racism wouldn't be even influential because nobody will follow them because that they doesn't actually have nothing in common. Superpowers are all different.
Okay, so but I just want to answer that because like the 80% have superpowers, okay? The only thing that matters in like having groups is that they actually have these superpowers. So the people who have like superpowers will get together and be racist against those 20% innocent people who don't really have anything, okay? If you have a superpower, you have a power against those like not strong people. So yeah, and so I want to say that people are racist over very small things such as skin color or small eyes, and of course they will be racist over like a huge 80% of something as strong as the superpowers. And the info site states that uncanny.
POI.
Yeah.
Is that why government trained them to use their power in a good way?
Okay. Okay, I really wanted to say, okay, so you just stated that 80% of all these superheroes who have powers are still no. So I want to say that in the info site, it literally states that only a small amount of these 80% superheroes are actually selected to fight injustice, but it doesn't mean that all 80% of these people actually do good, okay? In both of our worlds, there are still the 80% population who have these powers still commit a lot of crime, and
POI.
and yeah.
Also in your side, there's also gonna be criminals. So isn't it better for our side that we actually have a lot more superheroes than actually having none.
But just want to answer that. How does your site ensure that all superpowers are all good and they don't like misuse their powers to do evil stuff? Yeah. So, summarizing this debate, so the opposition's points were in my notes. It says first financial, second standard of normal people are vague, and third criminal versus superpowers. So the main burden we have to prove in this debate in order to win is who creates a fairer and more safer world. And
Points of information.
yes.
Don't you think people or terrorists, which are actually strong enough to have strong powers to interrupt the society or do terror, will be all used and educated as superheroes, and they will be justiciable?
But how can you ensure that all of these people are selected to be the superheroes who fight for justice and work for the country? And okay, so okay, so now moving on to our team's first discussion. And before that, do I have any POIs? 3, 2. Oh, bro, I need to take POIs. I don't care.
POI.
Yeah, sure.
Don't you think it's kind of the thought that
Wait. I'm good. So 박수 쳤어 안 돼.
You can still do it. You can still do it.
Okay, so
Seriously.
Stop.
So we understand
Stop.
What?
You can still do the rebuttal. You can still do a POI,
Yep.
even though I clap if you already accepted it before.
No. It's because
Or like
못 들어서 그래요. When you clap, she said a word, and I was like, what? 그래서 그래요.
Will you please repeat?
Okay, so we understand that there might be some criminal who has superpower, but just like how there's cop in non-superhuman, there are also gonna be people who fight for justice against criminal with
Out of order.
Who have
50
superpowers.
seconds.
I have to answer it?
No.
No? I
You have to answer it.
Okay, so I believe in our team's third point was that superpowers will eventually get all evil, okay? So, these superheroes who are born with these powers, you know, are really strong and they just want to be racist because of their powers, okay? You know? People who have abilities are strong, you know? So they want to, so like why wouldn't they just like rob banks and stuff even if they have these powers, okay? And because of those like one evil superheroes, the other superheroes would follow. No, actually no. Stop. Okay.
Okay, speaker spoke for 6 minutes and 18 seconds.
There's an email reply.
Are you guys up
reply
to
있어요?
reply?
Yes,
근데
please.
reply 안 하고 그냥 피드백 많이 받고 싶긴 해.
You guys want to do?
Can we just do
reply?
government reply? I really need to do it, or we're just dead.
Structurally.
No.
Young, I can listen to your reply, but it won't affect the verdict.
Okay, you know what? I can take that.
Is it okay with that?
I
Are you okay with that?
If reply system exists, can I also take reply?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not going to affect the verdict, right? The replies are just going to be for feedback. Okay?
근데 진짜 debate는 replies matter,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, somewhat.
bro. I have to nail this thing so hard.
Okay, opposition.
쌤 객관적으로 진짜 그냥 중립적인 때 봤을 때
I can't say.
아니 어스틴 할 때 민기 울고 있었어.
You're crying?
No, you were crying because of his speech.
I don't cry, bro. I don't care. 걔가 말하는데 문제 아니야.
No.
걔가 망했다는 거네.
All right. Opposition.
우리 점수한 5점 차이는.
근데
Okay, then who's going to be opposition reply?
maybe.
Okay.
No,
All right.
we're not opposition.
No,
I want to be opposition.
Okay.
어스틴.
I'm reply.
어스틴.
I'm
근데
reply.
어스틴.
Do you want maybe paper?
Just give me all your notes.
Right.
어스틴. 근데 너 OT 때보다 못했던 것 같아 오늘.
Out of order.
I want to start my speech in 3, 2, 1, go.
Judge, we think it was very awkward side government to come out to the podium and talk about like racism from the get-go, right? We didn't say any kinds of linkage and how superpower and skin color is like related and with emotion considered at the get-go. And even racism is even if racism is related in this debate, this is symmetrical harm on both sides because racism will exist at both sides of the world, like borrowing their side's world. People often tend to be like very racist and people often tend to like discriminate people from small things such as like skin colors and borrowing that word from their side. We think that racism is really not related in this debate, and we think that because this argument was like previously like rebutted through many of our speakers, we think this argument falls down from the get-go, right? So firstly I want to make some clarifications and rebuttals at the top, and secondly move on to my contentions in this debate. So firstly, note how side government I'll take it later. Note how side government unfairly characterizes about how people with superpowers that these people need to help vulnerable people at the end of the day, and the powers are only used to like I don't know, like combat crimes or whatsoever, right? Yeah, and secondly, I'll take it later. Secondly, their side never note that their side never characterizes like vividly how this superpower looks like in their side of the world. They just say that this just looks like they just say that our side looks like a world where these powers are not like really used for like good causes or whatnot, and they talk about things how these powers should be used for like great causes. But we think that because they don't characterize like because they don't characterize from the get-go.
Point of information, please.
I said I'll take you later after this. So because they never characterize from the get-go, we think that we think their whole case gets like a bit of vague at the end of the day, right? Thirdly, I would like to characterize additionally how their size like these superpowers look like, because because they never characterize. I want to add on. So these superpowers at the end of the day, like both in both sides, superpowers would look like small things and including to small things like what Jaden said, and to big things like helping to combat crimes or whatever. Right. So note that this is a valid. This is
POI.
This is the ultimate characterization at the end of the day. I'll take your POI.
So the racism mark, why we said skin color was to show that just how little people will need to be racist. How do you justify that it doesn't relate in any ways?
You're trying to talk about like how people discriminate from small things, right? So I want to say some things. So they talked about how these superheroes are dangerous in their second constructed. I think that from this point we can see that they're like discriminating the majority. I'm sorry, I'll just move on because this POI is a bit vague. So I want to move on to my first contention on this debate. Like which side is more efficient with limited capital at the end of the day. We think efficiency is the most important metric in this debate, and this is because superpowers are used to like often combat crime. So this is a big advantageous superpower, or not often used in construction sites or whatever, like our first speaker has mentioned, because there's some kinds of superpowers that actually don't do big deeds at the end of the day, because there is like 80% of superpowers in like the motion sets and or whatsoever, because it's like literally extraordinary. And because the 80% of the population has it, so therefore we rather think that superpowers will be utilized at its best in daily lives, and efficiency should be the most important metric in this debate, not vulnerability, like their side claims. Because their side claims about vulnerability, but I think that vulnerability doesn't matter at the end of the day, because these superpowers are given to 80% of the populations at the end of the populations. But I think that this population at the end of the day, and there are only like 20% of people don't have superpower. So I think that vulnerability is not the most important metric in this debate. So we think our side is being more efficient at the end of the day. So side propositions tries to like normalize these people at the people, but this wouldn't bring any exclusivity or any kinds of benefits. Why? Firstly, we think that both of their arguments are about like racial discrimination and dangerous superheroes. They'll stand at the end of the day because, like we have rebutted before, A1 lacks like relevancy generally because they don't explain the linkage from the get-go, and even if they have explained the linkage through their second and third speakers, this would be too late in this debate to actually make a valid point at the end of the day. At the end of the day, right? And secondly, about crime, like I rebutted before, the crimes and the crimes that are occurring are symmetric on both sides. So we know that crimes happen everywhere, and this is just a symmetrical benefit. And know that how our side is able to solve these problems more uniquely and more efficiently at the end of the day, because we actually have these superheroes, and so proud to oppose.
Okay, so speakers spoke for 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
Wait, was there a reply?
Yeah, there was a reply. Opposition reply, you have the floor.
Yeah, I would like to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Regardless of their opponent teams' rarely unjustifiable model to neglect the benefit and the stakeholder analysis of what government is and what their policies are, I believe that their team generally lost this debate, even if they're in their best case. In their best case, best case is where racism are like no existing and there's less degrees of racism, right? No, like racism won't exist, but. Like I engage, I believe that these prioritization and the social standard of thinking how these people with like having superpowers might become much better wouldn't even exist. Why? Because these superpowers, in these terms of superpowers, is not something which is already good. Which it might be unnecessary, it might not look cool, which I believe that these won't be affected to society to create a social norm how these superpower people is much better. It might be superpower when you actually peel out the banana, then there's some, let's say like some, you can need to sneeze or something like that. So and furthermore, I believe that their team's called racism. I believe that their team actually was never engaging to our team's understanding about our team and with Angela's engagements upon this. To further elaborate Angela's second engagement given up to these, I believe that their team's world would be a world which is likely for actually being actually careless for these minor changes. Furthermore, I believe that psychologically when people get to sense and every people has a say, we're really different situations. I believe that they doesn't actually get to sense something which is minor. So I believe it would be generally the same situation here because people won't be discriminatory for something minor, right? As an example, in the cases of animals which have different same species but really different conditions and really different things, they psychologically there's a scientific result how that they didn't discriminate each other even though that they're species, though they have big changes, right? When they're actually having big changes together, and it's actually becoming careless, and the extra racism for taking care of all these minor stuff won't happen in our side. Second, there's our team's worst case, which is talking about superheroes, rebellions, or something like that. I believe that their team never engaged upon how our team can actually still use a machine about how to erase things to partially serve some people who are actually criminals who have actually done something with this. So we can actually control this, but I believe that their team actually never understood or never engaged to this point about how our team can still use a superpower eraser upon this. Moving on to world comparison about our team's world and their team's world. Our team's world will be generally a world which has better society, and it will be a society much developed due to our team's first argument. So, like our team's first argument, like our team's Elo had mentioned, I believe that it will be a society which class differences or these capital differences between rich and poor, these discriminations are unlikely to be happen. So our teams will be a world which generally discrimination or social problems is unlikely to happen compared to other teams simply focusing on the only topic of racism. Our team will be a world where these class differences or these another type of discrimination won't exist. compared to their world, which it will be a world which actually has a social norm of something. Since that they normalize some typical standardized body and they fit everyone to simple body and simple body standards, they have actually bought as a simple social norm of us thinking what is good body. Then when the area comes which can be erased and which can be normalized by these machines or erasers, then people will be discriminatory to them because the government are structuralizing these arguments into these social norms and these discrimination at the end of the day. So I believe that our team will be much developed and less discriminatory. For these reasons, never been so proud to.
I think you can speak for 3 minutes and 32
Are
seconds.
you like clapping like?
What?
소리하면 안 되는 말 아니에요?
What?
Like he said,
Like, that is a bad omen.
No!
I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Judge, what exact world are you going to save when there's no world left to save? The world that the opposition gives you today is like trying to build a tower while the bottom supports are already collapsing. Yeah. Let me explain. So, they, first of all, ignore all our world building, ignore the fact that we have fiat, and try to characterize the machines, everything in their own way, even though we clearly characterize that the machine would wipe all people and not just a specified amount. The PM in today's debate was very clear about this topic. So we're just going to we're just thinking that the opposition was just downright disrespectful or just totally ignored this part of our debate. So let's look at the case today. What is the best case that the opposition gives you, and what's the worst case that the proposition gives you today? So at its best, the opposition gives you a world where sure, some extraordinary superheroes are fighting terrorists, while literally everyday society is being attacked by people who have extraordinary superpowers, while the police futilely attempt to fight them. Do you really need a world to protect when the world itself doesn't even exist? Judge, think about this. They say, yeah, we'll teach them from a young age not to be racist. We'll teach them to be good. Okay, then why are there criminals in this world? Why are people racist? Don't we teach those people from a young age not to be racist, to be good? But still, why are people bad? Same thing. Opposition ignores this fact constantly. They try to act like, yeah, if we teach them from a young age to be good, they're definitely going to be good. Then where did all the criminals come from? Where did all the racists come from? The worst case that the proposition gives you is a world where at least racism doesn't get worse. Sure, it stays the same, but it doesn't get instantly worse like it would in opposition's world. It's not a world where the whole economy and society is collapsing on its whole as criminals rob, loot everything in sight while the police try to defend themselves. We give a world, sure, the status quo isn't perfect. At least it's better than the world that the opposition can best give you today. In short, the opposition tries to stack bricks on a tower that's standing on one feudal column. They believe, in their society, they believe that somehow we're going to have a machine that can wipe certain individuals, which we clearly stated doesn't happen by our PM multiple times, but we're just going to ignore that. Sure, they're going to be like, yeah, we're going to ignore that fact and try to act like the PM stated that. No, they consistently ignore our fiat, consistently ignore our world building, and try to make a world that looks like a utopia where superheroes are fighting for us, where everyday people can have superpowers to help humans. But think about this. They literally stated, people are racist about the littlest things. Well, being a superhero isn't exactly little. Also, the opposition constantly tries to push the fact that they might have weird superpowers. But the info slide literally says it is a power that is different and is actually a superpower, not something weird like pooping when you eat a banana. Actually, farting when you eat a banana. For these reasons, I have never been proud to propose. Thank you.
The thing is that we actually credited your fiat and world from